Well, hello, everyone. And by everyone, I mean you, John Ellenthal, me, Kurt Schneider, and all of our listeners around the globe.
And
Hello, everyone.
viewers. We now are on YouTube, Kurt, so we have listeners and watchers.
So I shall say hello to all of you Smart Drivel fans out there. But as we say, it's a Smart Drivel podcast, but this is Learn, Rant, Laugh. A new format, John. Episode 3 of the new format, or episode 3 of season 2. We have not yet gotten to where Fonzie is wearing a leather jacket and water skiing.
That is the origin of Jump the Shark.
Well, I will tell you. So we start, our first segment is what did we learn this week? And I really am curious to hear what you think about this. So,
All right.
well, I went down one path and I got this whole thing about how men aging in their 50s and 60s isn't about us falling apart. It's about our hormones renegotiating our entire operating system. And I decided not to share that with you because that was a little, I didn't feel like that this week. So next
Our
week,
hormones renegotiating our operating system.
So in fact, like your nose and your ears don't keep growing. They actually start sagging a little bit. That's what happens. We're going to do this another time because I have a different thing that I learned that I think is very cool.
Okay, so now we know what we're not going to learn. So tell us what we're going to learn.
Well, I was listening to a podcast about the MetLife building, but really the Pan Am building in New York City. And as it was telling me all the details, they said something which I had never heard before. And then when I researched, I realized it is a thing and has been a thing. And I'm maybe now not so much, but have you ever heard of the Pan Am smile, John?
No, is that something that Pan Am stewardesses were required to do to Pan Am passengers and Pan Am pilots?
You're exactly right. The Pan Am smile is apparently something that everyone knew in pop culture. It started with them, but you and I'd say you're giving me a Pan Am smile. It is smiling without engaging the eyes. So I'm going to try.
But I thought a big part of smiling was actually in the eyes, and you could tell if someone was faking a smile if their eyes didn't join in the fun.
That's why the Pan Am smile was fake.
So it's a fake smile.
Yeah,
I thought the Pan Am smile was a genuine smile because that was back in the days that air travel was legitimately fun. And I thought most people were having a good time, especially if you got that sweet Pan Am carry-on bag.
So the blue and absolutely with the big, we
logo
all had it.
side.
Yeah, and the vinyl. So it was the stewardesses that did it. They were taught to do it, not using their eyes, ergo, no crow's feet. And I actually saw an animator who went through the whole thing and showed the different muscles that go. It is just going like this.
So they were smiling, and they were fake smiling, not to force a smile for their customers, but to protect their eyes from getting crow's feet?
No, to force a smile, to just fake a smile, to just say, yeah, I'm always smiling. And that was it. But it's called the Pan Am smile. So it was a fake thing. I think someone probably said, this is the way to do it. It's going to be so welcoming, but it's the Pan Am smile. So I had never heard of this, but when I started researching it, it became, obviously it was a real thing. So it made me wonder, John Ellenthal.
Yes, sir.
You being a marketing guy your whole life.
Right.
What other brands got the ability to have something named after them like this? And I could only come up with two. This isn't like Xerox and Kleenex and that. Okay. But
wasn't there a Kodak smile?
No, but that's one of the ones. The Kodak moment.
The Kodak moment. Okay.
How great is that? They took basically nostalgia, right?
Right.
And they got their brand name in it. Now they're out of business now because of digital, but a Kodak moment. You would go to someone and you'd look out. You wouldn't even take a picture and you'd say, oh, I'd look at these people like together. This is a Kodak moment. How cool is that for a brand?
Okay, so it is cool when a brand can own something, a smile, a moment. And you said you can only think of two others.
Because it's not just owning, it's being associated with action, verb, or something happening. So
you could have an Excedrin headache.
I know, but I had a lot of those like that. Yes, but that I was trying to do something that was more. So because Excedrin took care of headaches right there, and it was like I wanted to. So I only came up with one other one: drinking the Kool-Aid.
Drinking the Kool-Aid, but I don't think that was a brand setting out to become a popular beverage. I think that was the result of the mass deaths when people drank Kool-Aid in Guyana when Jim Jones gave them all Kool-Aid.
Yeah, I
So
was
I
never
think,
saying the brand set this out. I was just saying it was
oh,
pretty cool when a brand got associated with something in the zeitgeist of pop culture.
listen, whenever you can be associated with mass suicide, I think, whether the brand intended it or just got lucky, you got to go for it. But that's where that expression came from, right?
Yes. So can
Drinking
you
the
think of
Kool-Aid.
any others? I mean,
Well,
I would.
I gave you the Excedrin headache, but you poo-pooed it pretty quickly. But they owned a headache. You're having an Excedrin headache. I think that counts.
Okay. All right. I'll give you that
How
one.
about Schaefer owned drinking more than one beer? Because Schaefer was the one beer to have when you're having more than one. So it kind of owned the idea of having a couple cold ones.
Okay. I think I'm probably parsing this a little too thin. I'm not
Yeah, you're
going with
feeling a little tight
slogans.
here. You're feeling tight.
Well, because I'm not going with slogans. That isn't what it was cool, because we could say this a gazillion
But
slogans.
don't
I
you
was,
think that Schaefer owned the concept of having more
no,
than one?
no,
Was there a Pepto-Bismol stomach?
nope.
How about this one? You remember X-Lax?
Yeah,
You ever hear the cheer?
no.
X-Lax opens up the hole. X-Lax fills the toilet bowl.
You just made that up.
Okay, do you know what X-Lax, do you remember what X-Lax was for? As if you were
Yes.
constipated.
I know. I get it.
I'd like to point out that I did not just make that up. I don't think I'm capable of making that up on the spot.
Was that like a Mad Libs? I mean, a Mad Magazine
I don't
thing?
know
I'm
where I
sure.
got it, but it made me think of it when we were talking about brands becoming, sort of.
Well, and again, I was slicing this up. I just thought the Pan Am Smile wasn't that they called it. Maybe they did, but it wasn't meant to be for like a slogan and an ad. It was
Well,
just something that happened,
it's
and then
something
it
that
became
happened.
everyone. So
Like the Kodak moment. So it's an interesting. Did AT&T ever own the long distance call?
no.
All right, there must be other brands, Kurt.
So you and I could think about that. And so, but anyway, you asked me for something I learned, and I thought that was pretty cool. The Pan Am Smile.
So the Pan Am smile was a fake smile because the Pan Am brand was a big part of the flight attendant, the stewardesses, and we can call them stewardesses
Because
because
that's
back
what we're
when Pan
talking
Am
about.
was a thing, that's what they were called. So we're just being appropriate to the era, and that became a thing. Just like that's an interesting topic.
Yeah.
You don't want to try to think of others
Well, I was
like
trying,
the
but
Excedrin headache.
then I thought, what will be in the future? And, then I got caught up in, well, we Google things, right? And let's Uber. But that's more like the Kleenex and the Xerox.
Yeah,
That's making something
that's when
generic.
one brand becomes
Right.
a
Right.
verb
And
for
that
the
isn't what
whole
I was,
category
right. But is there
or
going
a
to be
noun for that
like
matter.
a you know, Starbucks morning? I don't know, right?
A Starbucks morning. All right.
All right. What did you
Okay.
learn? I just thought that was cool. A Pan
It
Am
is kind of
smile.
cool. It is kind of cool. So I'm going to have to look at a note here because there are a number of words that I'm going to need to pronounce correctly for you, and it's totally going to be worth it.
Okay. I'm ready.
Before we get into this,
Yes.
tell me the last name of the future Hall of Fame shooting guard for the Golden State Warriors.
Steph Curry.
Give me the last name of the.
Curry.
Right. Good one. Tell me a very common flavoring in
Curry.
Indian food.
Curry.
Right. Have you ever tried to curry favor, Kurt?
Yes. Okay.
What does it mean to curry favor?
To get someone to come to your side and appreciate what you're doing.
Right. So you're sort of trying to get on the right side of things so things go your way. What is one of our most favorite things to do on Smart Drivel, Kurt?
Talk about words and their etymology.
Talk about the origin stories. Well, etymology and also the stories of phrases like curry favor. Would you like to guess where the term curry favor comes from?
Yes, I have. I will try to guess.
Okay.
England colonizing India. Goes over there. First, they get malaria, so they have to invent gin and tonics. Then they're enjoying gin and tonics, and they wanted to actually get some of these spices and take them out. But the spices were part of the religion in India, and the Indians did not want to let them take these spices out. So they had to take one of them, which happened to be curry, and ask the people and use that along like this way and with money underneath the curry to get the Indians to allow them to take the spices and export them back to to England.
All right. So I'm sorry to say that's not the origin. In fact, it has nothing to do with food and nothing to do with India. But that does make me think of an expression that we did reveal the origin of that has everything to do with India. Do you remember when we talked about buttering someone up?
Yep.
They literally threw, is it pronounced ghee?
Pads of butter.
G-H-E-E?
Pads of butter.
Right, but also G. It's not ghee, is it? It's G. G-H-E-E?
I don't know what you're talking about.
You do crossword puzzles. You've never come across G-H-E-E.
No, maybe I have, but I've done it vertically versus horizontally. Anyway, tell me about curry. I'll shut up and listen because it's something you learn.
Ghee is a type of clarified butter commonly used in Indian, Middle Eastern, and South Asian cooking.
Yeah, why'd you say that?
How do you pronounce it?
Ghee.
Ghee. Probably just ghee. It's pronounced ghee, like the letter G. It's actually pronounced G.
Yeah.
Okay. G. Ghee.
Oh, boy.
Like the letter G. Okay. So it has nothing to do with any of that stuff, but buttering someone up does. Although it has a little bit of common ground with buttering someone up. So the origin of the expression curry favor, Kurt, believe it or not, is a phrase that comes from a 14th century French satirical called Roman de Fauvel.
Was that before or after the Battle of Agincourt?
14th century? It's not specific into when it happened in the century, but since the Battle of Agincourt happened late in the century, actually the 14th century would be the 1300s, so it predates.
Agincourt was the year 1413, so yes.
So it has to predate.
Right.
Because this is the 1300s.
Right.
So there's this satirical poem called Roman de Fauvel. Here's the weird part. Fauvel was not a person. Fauvel was a horse, a corrupt, symbolic horse. So in this poem, Fauvel represents the moral decay of the church and state, and powerful people in the story literally groom the horse to gain influence. They brush him, they flatter him, they polish him, they curry Fauvel. They groom corruption in order to advance themselves. Okay?
So they used curry, which is to like curry a horse to make the horse better. Isn't that what curry also means?
Yeah, basically it meant to curry Fauvel. Of course, Fauvel became favor. But let me tell you about Fauvel. It is an acronym. F. These are French words. Flatterie, which means you speak French. All right? Let me see if you can get this one. Avarice.
Avarice.
Right. You're not going to get this one. Villainy.
Villainy.
Exactly. Variété.
Variety.
Yes, or fickleness. Envy.
Envy, baby.
Or envie. Chuté. Cowardice.
Charcuterie.
Cowardice. So all of those letters, F-A-U-V-E-L, spell Fauvel. The horse is literally made of vice, okay? So when the expression came into English, it was originally curry Fauvel. Over time, people forgot there was a horse involved in the story. Fauvel slowly became favor, and now we just think of it as harmless flattery. But originally, it meant you were brushing down corruption to climb the ladder. So
because curry means to brush down.
Curry, I think curry means what curry means in English.
Which is to brush down a horse?
No,
That's what I'm
curry is
asking.
to. Well, let's see if I can get you a technical definition because it's sort of one of those words that you know what it means, but it's hard to explain. Definition of curry, the verb. Actually, it originally means to comb, groom, or brush a horse.
That's where I was.
Well, yeah,
I
but
kept saying that. You kept saying no.
I thought there was maybe a more modern
No, because that's
definition.
what makes it so interesting that curry used to be this and that it
Yes,
was
I was
actually to
just
do us
making
for
that
worse.
mistake to involve
But
you in my story.
thank you. But I kept saying you're like, because that makes it even more interesting that the word that we
You were
use now,
literally
curry favor.
grooming the horse Favel, currying Favel.
I like it.
Okay, so I'm surprised in all of our episodes that we have not come across the story of what it originally meant to curry favor. So when we talk about currying favor, we think of Indian food. We don't think of no stinking horse.
I like it, Joe. I
It's
like
a
it a
good
lot.
one.
And, you also prove the point that something like, oh boy, I'm going to get the percentage wrong, but 78% of all English words come from French.
It was the lingua franca.
But it was also, the royalty spoke it, everyone did. And most of our
When it
words
was the
come from
lingua
there.
franca.
And well, even before that, yes. So lingua franca,
That's how it became the lingua franca.
well, that refers to the diplomatic usage that was the one language that different countries spoke versus I'm talking about people in
And
England
now
speaking it on the everyday.
what is the language of
English,
diplomacy?
English.
Which is really fortunate for lazy people like you and me who only had to really learn one language for real. But I don't want to sell you short because I know that there are several languages. Well, there are several accents that you speak in English when you're traveling to other countries. So you speak
Yes.
English with a French accent when you go to France.
Or when I'm in China, I speak Spanish because it's a foreign country. And of course, the foreign language I speak is Spanish. So that's what you do.
Well, I was hoping you'd match the
I'm
foreign
missing some
accent to where
wiring.
you were.
Yeah. I
Anyway,
miss.
that's where
Yeah.
curry favor
All
comes,
right.
to
All
groom
right.
a horse named Favel. But the
All right.
horse was filled with all sorts of greed and
So
avarice
Favel
and
became
self-interest.
flavor.
Literally.
Yeah, I like that. All right. I don't know where you learned it, but I think that's very
I
cool.
learned it on the internet.
Well, I think it's very cool, and I think that's great.
I think it's a good one.
I do too. All right.
You want to
So
tell me what the FAUVEL stands for?
sure. Carvel ice cream cakes. This is Frank Carvel. Fudgy the Whale.
Yeah, I was going to ask you about your relationship with Fudgy the Whale.
Yeah, I really liked, by the way, all of the little crunchies in between.
Oh
That was
God, the
my favorite
crunchies are
part.
the best part in
Right?
all of that Carvel stuff.
And then when it starts
Those were great.
melting, the crunchies don't, and it sort of melts over the crunchies.
Yeah, I mean, I think the crunchies make it. Did you ever wear a scrunchie?
I did not, but Madonna
Is that because your
did.
hair was too short?
Yes, I wish I could have. I wouldn't mind
But
wearing a scrunchie.
you wore other female accessories. Didn't you paint your nails in high school?
No.
Different colors?
What are you talking about?
All right, so maybe we should transition into our next segment, Kurt.
All right. So here's the issue.
Okay.
I was in Portugal last week.
Let it out, Kurt. This is your time to rant.
I was in Portugal last week, Jim, and we were climbing up a tower, 240 steps.
Did it have a circular staircase? Is that why
Yes.
you're doing this?
And it was very tight, the circular staircase, which, by the way, you do know the proper staircases, right, were meant for the wide step to be inside and the lower, wider inside. They were meant to turn, what's this, counterclockwise, because most people were right-handed. And
So
the
they'd
people
hold the banister.
defending the castle, you put your sword in your right hand. And so that's what you wanted, the wide step coming down. So it would go, I'm circling my hand this way, I'm going counterclockwise. And so the people forcing to come up that are trying to take the castle would have to be the tiny thing, and their hand with their sword kept getting caught in, so they'd have to put the sword in their left hand. But that isn't
So
what
you know
pissed me off.
Can I tell you something?
Yeah.
Don't take this the wrong way. Which side was supposed to be wide, the outside or the inside?
you're coming down. So to the right, coming down should be
So if you're
wide.
right-handed, you have your sword in your right hand, you're coming down, and your left hand is on the rail, which means
There's no rail. There's no rail.
Well, I think if you were coming down, you'd want the right side to be wider, which is how I think they are, Kurt.
Not all of them. You'll see. You're gonna be like, aha, this isn't real then. And then you'll realize that it was made the wrong way. Certainly when people put it in their homes and
Maybe
stuff,
it was made by a left-handed person. About 12% of people are left-handed. So it seems to reason that some of them would be architects and step builders.
So I'm in wherever I am in Portugal. And I'm going
You painted a beautiful word picture there. I
240
am
steps. And we're walking up, and all of a sudden, and it's tight, right? Because people wait online. It's supposed to be the best view of Porto. And we're walking up, and all of a sudden, we have to wait for a while because people are coming down. It's and all of a sudden, 2 or 3 people behind us start trying to go past everyone and go up. It's like, hey, we're all waiting here. You can't just go up. You can't go past us. We're waiting. You wait too. And I actually put myself in it because I thought in their way, because I thought that is just rude of them. Okay.
Well, I think you make a good point.
And then it just got me because I sent this to my 2 sons the other day. 21 classy etiquette rules most people forget. And a lot of these have been our previous rants, John.
All right.
Rise to your feet when someone enters the room. I like that. We've since left that. Let others exit before you walk in. That has gone out the friggin' window. People don't get that anymore.
That's an easy one. That's just, that should be common sense.
This one you're going to love because you've ranted about this before. Say, my pleasure instead of no problem.
No problem. God, do I hate no problem.
Listen fully before speaking.
Oh boy, you and I violate that one all the time.
That one we do. Keep your phone off the table.
I think that's reasonable.
Always keep your shoes polished. That's an old one because now we all wear the fancy sneakers instead of shoes. So
yeah, I was never a big shoe polisher. I never did my own shoes, but I like to have my shoes polished, like at the airport or the train station or some New York City building.
My dad taught me how to shine my shoes, and I always liked when other people.
Did you spit shine?
Yeah, sure. I like the way it felt when they would, put the rag on. It was almost like a foot massage. Okay, I'm not going to do all of these, but maintain eye contact during handshakes. Ask about others before talking about yourself. Walk beside your guest, never ahead. I failed that one. Send handwritten thank you notes.
What do you mean your guest? I mean just anyone you're with?
Yeah, if you're walking like someone into your house or something like that, you walk with them. You don't walk ahead of them.
What if you have a really good rear end?
John, gesture with calmness. Never point.
Yeah, you can get a little aggressive with the pointing.
I do. I know I can. Check your reflection in private. Use linen napkins, not paper ones. I fail on that one too. Anyway, it got me thinking about all these etiquette things, and we've talked about how etiquette seems to have fallen away. And I know I'm feeling now that we're showing our 7th decade, but Emily Post, is rolling over in her grave. People walk out. They don't walk well on the sidewalks. Everything we've been peeved about. But it got me because I was in Portugal and we were walking up and this person just started elbowing everyone out of the way.
Why do you think those people did that?
Because I think that they thought they wanted to go up. And why are we stopping? Let's go up.
So they just figured they were more important than everybody else. And that they didn't have to play by the rules and be patient.
And I do think, though, there is cultural stuff that you don't have to. For instance, if you ski in France, you don't line up for the chairlift. It's every man for themselves.
Is that right?
Uh-huh. And
even at the Olympics?
I don't know if you're recreational skiing.
So what do you mean? You have China, to fight for your spot in the lift line?
Yeah, it's Lord of the Flies. I'll tell you another Lord of the Flies in China.
Why?
When you take a plane in China and you get off, you don't wait for each aisle to go. You just bolt ahead. You got to sharpen your elbows, John, and get out there.
I've gotten off a plane in China.
Yeah, well,
but it was probably filled with Americans who were heading to China.
And especially if you go from like Beijing to Shanghai or Beijing to Guangzhou or one of those places.
China flight.
Well, it happens anywhere, but yes, it's not rude, it's cultural.
Well, in that case, it's not rude, but
they don't have
I think passing people who are waiting patiently so that you can get there first because you're too good to wait your turn is something that plagues us in many walks of life. And that it is this heightened sense of, the rules don't apply to me and I am the center of the universe.
And guess what? That's right. And as she went by me, she gave me the Pan Am smile. You know what it was? It was not a Kodak moment.
You didn't mention when you were getting all tough and standing in the way that it was, not like a 6'4" male.
No.
All right.
But she gave me a Pan Am smile, and it was not a Kodak moment. And I almost made her drink the Kool-Aid.
I guess she felt like she's too good to wait. And I teased that theme out because it's obviously the case. And two, it speaks to my pet peeve of the week or my need to rant. You might remember on an earlier episode when I talked about handicap permits.
Yes.
And people without them parking in the handicap spot. Yes. Which is just so wrong. And even if there's no chance or a slim chance that someone might come along that might need it, I mean, who are you? And on top of that, it strikes me as really bad karma. Well, I am going to talk again about handicap parking spots, but I'm going to take a different tact. I am not going to say it's okay to park in them if you don't have a handicap sticker.
However,
but it seems to me that there must be a lot of abuse among people who have handicap parking permits.
Yes.
Now, I'm sure that some people have invisible maladies that justify them having a parking permit, a handicap parking permit. But some people pop out of the car like they just came from the Olympics. And I looked up...
And not the Paralympics.
Not the Paralympics. So I looked up what needs to happen to get one of these things. And apparently you need a doctor to medically certify that you are unable to walk 200 feet without rest, or you need an assistive device, or you have severe cardiac or lung condition. Okay? In which case, those spots are for you. The permits are approved, Kurt, for 3 to 6 months. They require a certification. Why does it seem that some people have like a lifetime pass to these things?
Because
I suspect
many of them... Do they really have an expiry?
They do, because they're for use when you're having a problem, like I broke my leg. Now, some people have permanent conditions, don't get me wrong,
right?
But many people get them because of a temporary mobility issue. 3 to 6 months. I suspect that the typical person has them for years and years and years. And this is the thing that gets me the most. And I didn't know this. They are not issued to a car, Kurt. They are issued to a person, Kurt. So if your car has one in it, but the person who needs it is not in the car, you are not to park in a handicapped spot. How often do you think someone drives solo without the person who needs it, leaves the placard up and parks? And why am I using placard like this is the 1960s? But leaves the permit up even though that person is not in the car and still parks in one of those spots. I bet you it happens all the time, Kurt.
So I know it does, and I have a personal story about that. So my mother, multiple sclerosis, and she could not walk, and so she had one of those placards.
Right.
And my father, I remember going out to visit him in California once, and my mom was not in the car, and my dad and I were going into downtown Santa Barbara, and we couldn't find a spot, so he pulls into the handicap spot. Right. I said, "What are you doing?" And he reaches into the glove drawer and says, "It's fine, we'll put this on." I said, "No, it's not. You can't do that." And I shamed him out of it.
Yeah. Good for you.
Yeah.
Because there are people like your mother out there who actually need those spots.
And need the spot, and you can't take it. That's exactly right.
You know what? There's an honor system. You get it when you need it, and you don't use it when you don't need it anymore, or it's not for you. But there has been a breakdown, a moral breakdown of the honor code among people in this society.
Yes.
And this is a simple example of it, okay?
This is like me saying the problem with society.
People think this is premium parking with a moral loophole. So anyway, a lot of things like walking on the stair. There's a social covenant among us, Kurt. Okay?
I do think
these people are abusing the social covenant, Kurt.
And I also think people like to feel special. And I think that's part of just a human dynamic. When I was flying to Portugal last week and I got to go in a certain lane versus the other people, I felt great. I was like, no, look at all those suckers. And
but because of your ticket, you were supposed to be in that lane.
Yeah.
If you were in that lane surreptitiously because you thought you could get away with it, then you're abusing the system. You're not playing by the rules.
Flying back, we had the same thing, and there was a young American, and we were in Lisbon, Portugal.
David Bowie.
And he was at the
I love that
Space
song.
Oddity. Yes.
She was a young American.
Oh, I thought you were talking about Major Tom, which was also great. Changes One.
I believe it's on the same album.
Changes One. Anyway,
changes.
So this young guy
was face up, the strain,
and he was trying to board. And the guy said, "Excuse me, sir, I'm looking at your ticket. You got to get on that line," which was a long. He said, "But you just scanned me." He said, "That was before I saw your ticket." And this young kid kept yelling about it, and he ended up somehow getting on early. But whatever. All right.
So it's people trying to beat the system. Moral breakdown.
And when they beat the system, what do? They give you the Pan Am smile. Yeah, I'm going to start doing that to everyone now.
Well, at least you'll avoid crow's feet.
It might help my acting because I won't be seen as overacting anymore.
By the way, when someone smiles like that and your eyes are, like right now you're smiling, your eyes are smiling too. People can tell you don't mean it.
How's this?
It looks like you should be in one of those, Friday the 13th movies with that look on your face.
All right. So we need to wrap up because I took a long time talking about the Pan Am smile and everything else. And we've taken a lot of time.
Let's have a very quick final segment.
I'll just tell you something that made me laugh. Okay. Someone told me, or I read, I don't know what, I just saw this today, or someone told me the definition of irony: getting pregnant on a pull-out couch.
Or having bad luck in a Murphy bed. No. So getting pregnant on a pull-out couch. That is funny. I heard something like that the other day. I wish I could remember it because this would be a good time to remember it. That's very clever. I did read something earlier today, which is not nearly as funny, but it's sort of the same kind of angle, which is, did you hear that the people in the yardstick factory aren't going to make them any longer? Uh-huh. Did you ever see the... I must be a cartoon. I don't think it's a New Yorker cartoon, but it's a cartoon that says the caption is 90% of marriage is yelling "what" from another room.
Probably.
Or
true.
You could also say 90% of marriage is what do you want for dinner?
Or the irony is getting pregnant on a pull-out couch.
Yeah, that is a good one. That is a very good one. I really did hear something like that the other day. I got to figure out what that was. That's really clever.
Well, you can save it for next time. And
that's good because I can't remember it.
That's right. You can start off the next episode.
Are you going to have some Indian food for dinner now?
I'm going to go curry my horse outside. Curry favel. That will work into some conversation tomorrow when I'm talking about like data analytics. I will work in, should we curry favor? Do you know where that came from? Here's the problem, John, and I'm sure you have this too. Especially since we've been doing Smart Drivel and we've learned a lot of these things, I can't help myself out at dinner parties by saying, well, you know where that came from? And I don't think people really want to hear anymore.
I was in a conversation this afternoon in my house, and someone said something about the metric system. And someone said, why do we still use the imperial system, right? And I said, we're one of only 3 countries that uses the imperial system. And bizarrely enough, the other 2 countries are Myanmar and Liberia.
Right.
And the person was like, why do you know that? And I'm like, I can't help it.
Right. And so that's the issue. Anyway, I'm looking forward to learning something new the next few weeks, to hopefully not ranting about something, and also to laughing. So
no, it's good to rant. Ranting is good. It lets us get it out of our system. All right.
All right.
Thank you all for joining us. Goodbye, Kurt. Check us out on YouTube. And we will see you next time.
Here's my Pan Am smile saying goodbye.
Bye.